Okay, now let's talk about the latest MacBook Pro. So, Apple unveiled the MacBook Pro 14 inch and MacBook Pro 16 inch on 18th October. So, they will only be available from 26th, that is one day after the launch of macOS Monterey. So, the basic this is like a big change from the previous years or previous gen 2019 MacBook Pro 14 inch, 16 inch. So let's start with the processor since it's the most important. There are two processors this year. It has M1 Pro processor and another processor which is more powerful. And if I'm just looking for the name. I think it's M1 Max. Yeah, it's M1 Max and M1 Pro. So two insanely powerful chipsets. I need to actually see the real time like footage because right now the embargo hasn't dropped yet, so I can't comment much on the performance, but I know that it's going to be immensely powerful. So if you're talking about the M1 Pro chipset MacBook, and the M1 Pro is only available on the 14 inch and the M1 Max isn't available on the is only available in the 16 inch. So now let's first talk about the 14 inch. The 14-inch MacBook sports two versions of the M1 Pro. The first one has 8-core CPU with 14-core GPU and 10-core CPU with 16-core GPU. So as you can see that the number of cores on the processor has also been increased slightly, but there's been a huge jump in the number of cores in the GPU, which is pretty good. Apple is giving some more attention to its GPU. Hope we can finally get a MacBook that can play proper games, but that seems like just a dream now. And this generation has a huge redesign when it comes to like the whole aesthetic of the MacBook. So before MacBooks had like a black keyboard with a silver accent on the back, like behind the keyboard, but now it's like even the things behind the keyboard is black, so it's like the keyboard is separate from the whole chassis. In my opinion, I don't like this design. I feel like it would have been better if they went for a silver back for the keyboard, because if the keyboard had a silver back, it wouldn't have be a dust magnet, because I own a laptop with a completely black body, and I know it's a huge dust magnet having that black back. But in the pictures it looks decent. And another big change is the display. The display now has a notch like the iPhones. At first I thought Apple's gotta be kidding me, but I know that Apple is good enough to do proper optimization and let the notch work properly. And for the apps that haven't supported the notch, they will have like just a black bar like how it was during the first few days of the iPhone 10 being launched. And another big change is that now it has MagSafe Type 3, which is really good. It isn't as fast as USB Type C, but still not bad. So MagSafe will charge way faster than the previous gen of MagSafe, and just if you're walking outside and stuff, it's just makes people like if they trip over your card or something, your laptop won't be damaged. And this is good, they're adding it to the professional models, because people like them, like the pro people, like the people who are sitting outside or going to office and stuff, they will really need this MagSafe feature. So it's good that Apple is doing this. Okay, so when it comes to a 14-inch MacBook, there are two versions. The starting one is 19,400 rupees, and the second version with the more powerful M1 Pro goes for 2 lakh, not 19,000, 1,94,900, and the other version is 2,39,900. So the major difference is the number of cores in the GPU. The SSD storage also increases by 512, and also the charging. For example, like the charging goes from 67 watt to 96 watt, which is a lot. So if you really want to spend the 2 lakh, I would just take the 67 watt USB Type C power. And now let's go to the 16-inch MacBook. So the 16-inch MacBook also has the same design but wider, because like it has more space now for the keyboard and stuff, because 16-inch device obviously. So now there are three versions of this. The first two I'm not going to say because it's the exact same as the 14-inch, but the 10-core CPU, and so the only difference between the first two versions of the M1 Pro is that the second version has more space, and both have the exact same charging capacity, I mean power, as in like 140 watts it's rated for. And the difference is 20,000. So if you really want one 512 more GB of more space added, then you can spend 20,000 and get that. And if you want the M1 Max, which has a 10 core CPU and a 32 core GPU and 32 gigs of unified memory and 1 TB SSD storage, you'll have to spend 3,29,900 rupees. And that also has one USB-C power adapter included. So that's pretty okay in my opinion. But when we are talking about the whole Mac lineup now, it's like a huge update, especially for the people who are really looking for a professional product. Yes, the price difference between the newer Pros, like the 14 and 16 inch and the 13 inch, is substantial. It's like 70,000 rupees price jump, but I think it's justified for seeing the new design and the notchless screen and having a 1080p camera, which is really good. The weight of the 14-inch MacBook, even maxed out, is 1.6 kgs, which is really good. The touch bar has been dropped. Good that Apple did it. Actually, I really was not a fan of the touch bar. And the first version, as in the 14-inch, has only 17 hours of battery life compared to the 20 hours of the 13-inch, which is kind of disappointing. And the 16-inch has 21 hours battery life. It can go up to 8 TB both and up to 64 GB both. If I'm coming to the ports, which I don't know why I did not talk about, it has an SD card port now, 4 USB Type-C ports, a Thunderbolt, 3 USB Type-C ports, Thunderbolt 4, and one HDMI port, one MagSafe connector Type 3, and one 3.5, which is good. Apple is including, which they could include a USB Type A, but looks like they haven't. Also, the design, like when I'm coming to design, it resembles a bit like the really old like PowerBook design. So basically, like the edges are slightly more curved in the Air and 13-inch Pro, but this is more flat. As in, like, it is curved in the corners, but like it's flat in the sides. Like, I don't know how to explain. Basically, if you look at it from bottom facing view, there's like a teardrop effect in the old ones, and that isn't there in the new ones. So I think that would be better if you're carrying it around, and durability wise. So Apple is on a very weird arc where it's giving real good performance for the price, at least for the starting versions, but they're not letting people upgrade stuff by themselves, and I think it's possible, but I don't know why Apple is not doing that. It's kind of sad. If you're really spending all the money, you just want performance and not battery life, I think the 14-inch is fine. But if you want lots of performance and the battery life, I think you should go for the 16-inch. Yes, it's a bit more expensive, but if you just see the longevity and the price to performance ratio, even other competitors options are not justified compared to the MacBook. The speakers also have spatial audio now, which I did not speak about, and just including it's the small changes that Apple does that makes more sense. And the keyboard has like a full height function row key, which it did not have before. So, and it has a Touch ID button with a tactile ring, like how it was there in the old iPhones and iPads, which I like. It was a nice touch. Overall, really good upgrade for those people like who are still using the 2016 or 2015 MacBook. I wouldn't recommend upgrading unless you really have the money. But if you really have the 2015 MacBook and you're looking for something new which can render stuff faster, I think this is the one you should go for, if you can afford it. But so I think that's it for the MacBook.